Max here, and I got a hot topic to talk with you Star Wars fans, movie fans, and it's about reviews, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, fandom, and toxic fandom. Or maybe toxic critics, toxic Lucasfilm, toxic Star Wars universe. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about. But give the warning for this episode. Warning! This video contains rumors, speculation, strong opinions, and a mad Max. A toxic Max? No! A mad Max. And I'm real mad in this episode. Okay. Oh, I gotta clear my throat. Woo! Sorry, guys. Okay, now, so I was watching the latest John Campea open mic episode. And he had a super chat question about toxic fandom. And I decided to make a video. Toxic critics, toxic Lucasfilm, toxic Star Wars. Who really is toxic? I don't think it's fans that speak out that want quality. I don't think it's us. Jeremy Jump Cuts, John Patreon Overlord Campea, Colluder, Chris Stock. Well, you guys, I think you could come up with some better ones. I like the Jeremy Jump Cut. I actually don't have that much against Jeremy except his jump cuts. But I thought that was a funny one. So, but you viewers could probably come up with some better ones for these toxic critics that are more concerned with movie premieres than representing the consumers. Lucasfilm is toxic, not the fans. And YouTubers, now this is one that I think is toxic, like Campea. That's who's toxic. And you know what? The real toxic fans are the ones that love everything and consume everything like a factory assembly line. Toxic critics that have a quid pro quo relationship with movie studios and making money off their YouTube viewers. Toxic critics that love to be part of a big Disney World movie premieres. And then they nickel and dime their own fans to death with Patreon campaigns and a whole series of videos that charge fans to get their questions answered. If he does, sometimes a viewer will pay to have a question answered, and he is so shill, he will play both sides as to not upset either of his fans on either side of the question. But then again, no bias here, no bias for Disney, no bias to upset subs, Patreons, or Super Chat. That is why honest opinions are so rare in the movie review community. There is so much conflict of interest and so much potential for bias for access to content first. Listen to him try to answer questions where someone pays for him to answer a question. He sounds like he's running for office. Well, film is subjective. Well, I like anyone that is a good director, good actor or director. But here is a clue to show how biased he is. Talk about a movie studio, a director, Kathleen Kennedy, or a big corporation. Suddenly, he's not so subjective. They are doing the best they can for the character. They did what is best. This is the best way to do it. It's not what I was expecting, but it's the way Luke should be. Come on. But talk about toxic. I also wanted to comment on how Disney Lucasfilm is toxic for Star Wars. I'll get to the next slide. And why the little things do matter. Because I was also watching the full-length Jedi Council and how they were dismissive of how Luke Skywalker poster was with the big X. Another article criticizing not using the Wilhelm screen, a saga film tradition. And these things do matter. And you know why? This Lucasfilm is toxic to the fan base and to Star Wars. Traditions and being respectful do matter. Now, does the X over Lucasfilm prove there is an agenda of bias against Luke Skywalker? Maybe. But what it absolutely does prove to me is the toxic environment at Lucasfilm and all these Hollywood movie studios with Hollywood movie universes. And that's toxic because they mistreat fans, the characters, and they are not doing their work. They should realize how privileged they are to have an amazing opportunity and take time to get the universe right. But you know what? This just shows how much time they have on their hands doing nothing. This is the same thing at the Universal movie universe. They were more concerned with setting up their offices with movie props, posters, toys, and getting lattes at Starbucks. These people don't care about Star Wars. Hey, SJWs, there's a minority that is underrepresented at Lucasfilm. People that care. That's a minority. People that care about Star Wars. They are underrepresented across the board with McDisney Star Wars. They are a minority. What disrespect for fans and characters. Now here is the culprit's response on Twitter. Justin Bolger. Today I learned. Justin Bolger at the Apex fan. Today I learned that my cubicle decorating style, Imperial Couture, launched Twitter conspiracy theories. Be quiet, Justin Bolger. Another lazy, clueless Lucasfilm employee. Stop playing games, hidden jokes, and do something constructive with your position. Your position as Lucasfilm, a social media strategist. Are you kidding me? That's how you respond? Obviously, you can't understand how to do anything positive for Star Wars. They should put a big red X over your picture, and you should look for a new job. What disrespect. And now let's talk about Rian Johnson's bold Last Jedi and how he disrespects the tradition of Star Wars. This is from a Gizmodo article, and I don't think it should be dismissed. I mean, on the grand scale of things, it's not the worst thing he did, but, I mean, it's tradition. We're not getting traditional Star Wars films. It's a small clue that we're not, based on this other article. It's a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but it is something. It shouldn't be dismissed. Here's from the Gizmodo article. The Last Jedi takes aim at some of the most deeply held establishments and tenets of the Star Wars saga, laying the ground for a new generation to build something different in their place. That's all heady stuff, but it also broke another Star Wars tradition that was a bit easier to miss. It's the first film in the main saga not to use the infamous Wilhelm scream. Since 1977, every film in the mainstream franchise, aside from the spin-off Rogue One, was weaved in the oral Easter egg that was the Wilhelm scream. The wailing shriek of a soundbite named after the moment Private Wilhelm catches an arrow to the leg in the 1953 Western, The Charge at Feather River. Whether it's an accompanying careening stormtroopers or Naboo palace guards taking hit, the scream has cropped up in every chapter of the Skywalker saga. That is, until The Last Jedi came along. And now this is where it's interesting to me. It may seem like a little nitpick, but it is something. This just shows the mindset of Rian and Lucasfilm nowadays. They don't show respect to anyone. They think they all know what's best. The Last Jedi's supervising sound editor, Matthew Wood, has revealed for the first time the sound team decided not to use the iconic scream in the movie. In fact, it's a tradition that seems to be over for good. In this movie, we decided to move away from the Wilhelm scream. We're letting the past die, as Kylo Ren says. We've started another scream that we like. So they filmed another scream, or they recorded another scream, sorry. It's actually been in this film and Rogue One, and some other films that are not Star Wars related, but it's our own little calling card. So that's not respect to what came before you. That's just the mindset. It's a small potatoes, but it's something to talk about, because they don't show respect to anyone except themselves. But it's our little calling card. What about the Star Wars calling card to the past? No, let the past die. Don't even acknowledge the past or have continuity with the past. That's this Lucasfilm. Okay, now it is something small, but the small bits add up to something big. And besides the big things, Star Wars is also missing the little things, and looking for the little things in Star Wars is fun and rewarding to fans, and it's fan service. But Lucasfilm does not reward fans. They bite the hand that feeds them and sleep on the job. So in response to all these critics on YouTube and Lucasfilm, I say, you are toxic. The fans don't have hidden bias and conflicts of interest. They are hard-working, paying fans. They buy their movie tickets. You don't. They have every right to complain when they spend as much as they have making Star Wars into a franchise. Toxic is calling yourself a reviewer when you are more concerned with subs, movie premieres, access, Patreons, and Super Chats. Toxic is making a whole video series where your own viewers pay to get questions answered. You already have money on the video, and you should be happy to answer their questions for free. Now, he may say, you can get questions on the show other ways, but a Super Chat guarantees it. I am so sick of being called toxic when all we do is expect quality and respect. I think they are toxic for how they treat George and how they say the prequels are garbage. What hypocrites! It's okay to trash the prequels and George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. Treat him with disrespect, but when it gets down to the McDisney difference, you shill hard. That's all I have to say about this topic. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. I love reading your comments. And this is where I have to remind you, you don't have to follow me anywhere, and I will never do Patreon, because fans are nickel and dimed enough. I am for the consumer. We don't need all this junk. All across the board. Enough already. Talk to you later, guys. See you in the next hot topic.